And so as we talk about preaching the gospel, that's so critical. And Michelle, you hit it on the head with as we're talking about generational things, like our kids are watching and listening to how we interact.
Yeah.
You're painting a picture of marriage, you're painting a picture of relationship, how you treat one another.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching. This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate Marriagecast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to episode 95. We are so glad that you're joining us today. You are making such a great decision in investing in your relationship, and we are so glad that you're here with us today.
Absolutely. Michelle, middle of July.
Yep. And it's been really hot.
Yeah.
Really hot, but I feel like we have a lot of fun things going on. I hope you listeners have had some fun experiences and vacations. We went to the middle of Minnesota to like a lake area for a vacation over the 4th. And we're recording this right before our trip here, but when this airs, we will be just getting back from some time in Utah. So we're excited for that. And just a fun summer so far.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, Michelle, I want to dive into a topic today. So throughout the month of June here at Celebrate.church, we've been in a series called The Way of Jesus, where we answered a big question on what does it look like to walk with Jesus? And it really came down to 3 big things that I think are really critical. 1, be with Jesus. Pretty self-explanatory, right? 2, become like Jesus. And then 3, do as Jesus did. And today we want to focus on that last one, do as Jesus did. We're coming off a message, where we're recording this. Pastor Noah was giving this message, and I thought, wow, this obviously applies to our relationship with Jesus.
But Pastor Noah is our senior pastor here at Celebrate.
Yeah.
Pastor Noah Rollins. So.
Yeah. But it also applies to, I think, our relationships, our marriages, our relationship with our spouse. And his message really revolved around 3 topics for us to do as Jesus does, or do as Jesus did.
Yep.
So we want to jump into this. Really excited about this.
And we're going to put this through the filter of do as Jesus did, but in the context of your marriage or dating relationship.
Yeah.
So taking it to that just putting that filter through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first topic is that we need to make room in our lives for the gospel. So I think we talked a lot about this as we run it through that filter, Michelle, of relationships. We talked a lot about this past month in our episode on busyness. Right?
Yeah, we had a couple shows on that.
Yeah, of just being busy and having so many things going on. But just for any relationship to grow, you need to make room for it. So are you spending, through this filter, are you spending time with your spouse or significant other? Are you making room for that relationship to grow?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you think about it, even a friendship, if you want to be friends with Jesus, you have to spend time with him. If you think of any of your friendships, granted, there are some friendships that you might not see them for a while, but you pick up, but you're probably still texting them or responding to their Facebook posts or messaging them in between the time that you actually meet up with them physically. So it's spending time in that relationship. And I think, Ryan, first, we did do a couple of shows on busyness. So for our listeners, if you have not caught those, there's one in particular, the not do list. So you've heard of to-do lists. This is the not do list. That would be a great episode to go back and watch when you're done with this one, or listen to when you're done with this. It was kind of cool. That one, it aired today or yesterday, I guess, and we got a message from our daughter, and she said, "This is such a great."
Yeah,
that was the show, right?
Yeah.
And she said that was such a great episode. We got a message from Pastor Jeff down in Yankton, and he was like, "Gosh, this was such a good episode." So it's always fun to get feedback like that from episodes. But Ryan, I would just pose this question: what is taking up your time and preventing you from having quality time from your spouse? So, going back to that busyness, at the end of the day, it all comes down to what's a priority, right? We're all busy. And I shared this in one of those shows, but for my marketing job, we had the director of marketing and brand strategy for the Green Bay Packers come in. And I love what she shared. She said, the statement, "I'm so busy," is like nails on a chalkboard. She's like, look, we're all busy. Don't tell me you're busy. I'm busy too. And it's kind of, I don't know if like a cop-out, but I think some people think, oh, well, I'm busier than, that young person. Like they maybe have more time because they're young. Well, or that older person has more time because they're retired. Let me just say this. I know young people that they're busy too. So don't devalue the priorities in their life because they're starting their career. Maybe they're in a dating relationship. Even if they don't have kids, it doesn't mean that they're not busy. And they're in organizations and, philanthropies and things like that in the community. Older people, I know some retired people that are busier than like the busiest people I know.
Right.
So they have so much going on. So whatever stage of life you're in, people are busy. It just comes down to your priorities, right? Yeah. Your actions speak louder than anything. So we've said this, that your bank account, your calendar, those are really tells for what your priorities are. So if you say my church community is important to me, but you're not at church on the weekend, hardly ever. I mean, maybe look back at your calendar and see, how often do we actually go? I think that's kind of a good measure, right? Sometimes a few weeks can maybe go by and maybe you don't realize, oh, we haven't been there, Yeah. Look at your calendar, look at your checkbook. So in the context of a dating relationship or a married relationship, are you, if you look at your finances, are you spending money on dates? Are you doing things with your spouse? Your calendar, are you having that time with them? Because it's either a priority or not, or it's not.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. This topic, like what are those obstacles that are getting in your way? And, I think it's important to ask yourself, what's one thing you can do today to remove that obstacle? I think we're coming off when we're recording this, we're coming off like a weekend where it's been like 100 degrees plus here in Sioux Falls. And actually, funny story, there's a cool video Michelle showed me where like the road exploded and this car like went over it and like ramped over it.
Cool for other people. I don't think the driver of that car thought it was cool. But
it
was really hot.
It was. And I'm thinking like we plant a garden every year, right? And that the garden requires you to tend it. It requires time.
Yeah. Hey, these flowers, if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, these flowers on the table are from our garden. And can I just tell our listeners this really hilarious story?
Great story, yes.
So keep that tending and cultivating a garden story in mind.
Yeah.
But you guys, so we have these, are these...
I don't know.
They're flowers.
They're flowers.
They're pretty flowers from our garden.
Yes.
And I was told that they would be good for cutting and putting in vases. That was what I wanted. And so I clipped 3. I thought it'd be nice to have fresh flowers for the podcast. And drove on the interstate here. Windows are up because it's hot, like we said, and got to the church parking lot. Was going to send a few text messages. So rolled down my windows, turned the car off, and rolled down my windows for airflow. And our son gets out of the car and he peeks in the front window, the passenger side window. And he was like, "Mom, is that a bumblebee on that white flower?" And I looked down. I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, it definitely is a bumblebee." Yeah. So good job to Thomas for catching that, or else we would have brought the bee into the podcast studio and probably would have had great blooper reel content in that. If it would have flown around during our show.
Just been flying around.
Studio, it's a big studio, but it's not like that big.
Right.
Okay, so we've been cultivating this garden. By we, I mean you, mostly. I've been doing some stuff with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it takes time. It takes energy, and it takes time to have it grow.
Water. I mean, the planting, the tilling of the soil, fertilizing, watering, weeding.
Yeah. And I think that's the same for our relationships. You have to make room. You have to tend it. You have to give room for it to grow.
Yeah. And I think, quality, not quantity also. So we just had a great conversation with our life group last week about, spending time together, but is it, watching a show, or is it having really great conversation? And it's not that you can't do both, but maybe just, be aware of that.
Right.
It was such a great conversation of just like,
absolutely.
you know what? You don't have to like give up your favorite show, because that's fun and it's relaxing, but maybe it's a 15-minute walk and talk, and then you watch your show.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's just evaluating that, making room for the gospel in your lives and making room for your spouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Okay, second topic is that we need to demonstrate the gospel. You are a reflection of Jesus to others. We say here at Celebrate that our vision is that we want people to meet Jesus. We want you to have a personal relationship with him. And then our mission is that you would be Jesus. And this isn't like, we're going to become the person of Jesus. No, there's only one Jesus Christ, but we want you to live out his life and his attributes. We want you to live out the fruits of the spirits. We want you to help your neighbors. We want you to walk where you're seeking the Father and exercising those faith practices every day. So, are you demonstrating what a healthy, godly relationship looks like, a marriage, what a healthy, godly marriage looks like to your kids? Are you interacting with your spouse in a way that is a reflection of the gospel? Is it a reflection of the gospel to your neighbors and the people that know you? Is your marriage a reflection of that? So we're not saying there's a perfect marriage.
Right.
But I think there is an awareness of when you mess up. And I feel like we are trying to make a big purchase, and big purchases are stressful, right? Especially we've saved up and it's going to be a cash purchase. We already had our air conditioner this year, and the home remodel is out the window. Now we're needing to make another big purchase, but just knowing it's such a big amount of cash, and thinking about how hard we worked for that, it's like, it can just add tension, right?
Right.
Even if we're relatively on the same page, it's still a stressful experience. So, this weekend, there was a moment where we were not on the same page, but it's just making sure that at the end of the day, we have resolve and that our kids see it. So it's not that our kids don't ever see us disagree, but they always know that we have resolved whatever disagreement it is, and that we have come back together. We love each other. We're putting God first, and we're modeling that peaceful reconciliation to our children.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And owning up, like, if I've done something, I would, there was a time that I went back and I was like, hey, that wasn't very honoring to your father. I shouldn't have reacted like that, and making sure that I make it right with the kids too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a scripture here, Michelle, John 14:12. Jesus said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do." We call that being in Jesus. That's what it means. I think oftentimes, like, we tend to almost like take our spouse for granted.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, you almost like you have to run it through that filter. Am I being Christ-like to my spouse?
Oh, that's so good, Ryan.
Because oftentimes, like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like, you're close, and oftentimes, like, it's sometimes like we're the least Christ-like to our spouse.
Yeah, they say that you are probably the realest and rawest with people that you're closest with, because you know that they'll forgive you. But that's such a great point that don't take your spouse for granted.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, just like are you offering grace, a kindness, love? Like, I mean, are you showing those things to your spouse?
Yeah.
because people are watching, and that is a reflection of the gospel.
Yeah.
Like, we are demonstrating that in everything that we do, and our marriages are a big reflection.
Yeah. Pastor Noah talked about that this weekend, that, we are showing people Christ through how we live.
Yeah.
So there are no perfect churches or people, but as long as we're striving for it, we're going to model that.
Yeah.
Like that's just so important as we model that to others.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just quick recap. We need to make room for the gospel. We need to make room in our relationships for those relationships to grow. We need to demonstrate the gospel. So is your relationship a reflection of Christ? Are you being Christ-like to your spouse? And then lastly, we need to preach the gospel. And I think this is an interesting point in, like, not necessarily like we're not like standing on a stage preaching to people, but I think, Michelle, it ties a lot into the demonstrating piece of this.
Yeah.
And, we are messengers of the truth, and we bring that everywhere we go. We can't be one way at work, one way at home, one way Saturday night, one way Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Like, we are messengers of the truth, and we have a responsibility to continue the work of Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that is critical. And honestly, I think our marriages are a big way that we can do this. Our relationships, I think, say so much in what we do. And I think this is in our words. This is how we speak. This is in our actions, what we do, how we treat each other. I mean, all of those things.
Yeah. Romans 10:14 says, "How then will they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him of whom they have never heard? Without someone preaching, how will they know?" And that is words, that's actions too, but words are just as important because they need to hear it, they need to know. And Ryan, we were just talking about generational, like just leaving a legacy, and to the third generation, with our children. And we had some really cool moments happen that we were just like, wow, they're turning into such solid kids and adult. For our daughter, she's an adult of faith, and it's truly been so many seeds and so many drops in their buckets. But it is our words. It's every day as we speak to each other.
Yeah.
As we speak to them, there was some more happenings in our backyard where we're just talking through. There was threats of someone beating our son up and all these things, and so we just had this great chance to talk to our son and just say, like, hey, you can still love these kids, but there's kind of a common denominator with the things that are happening and some of the kids that, are causing this. And maybe it's just distancing yourself and realizing, like, also you can be a leader. You could say, hey, no, we're not going to do that. But if it's just too much, it's also making wise choices. And he's seeing that. He said that to me the other day. He was like, I can still love those kids, but I don't have to be around them or participate in what they're doing, and it's just, I was just really proud of him. Thomas just finished the book of Genesis, and he's working on the Gospels now. He's 10 years old. He does not have a phone of his own. He just, at home, he uses an old phone of mine to access the Bible app for kids and, some other apps, but he has a Bible streak going just unofficially because, the Bible app for kids doesn't have streaks, but since the middle of April, he's been in the Word every day. He's outside of the podcast studio right now with his physical Bible, and he's reading it. He's like, oh, I haven't read the Word today. I need to do that. And our daughter, Ella, just finished the entire Bible. She did reading plans for the entire Bible. She did one book at a time and did an actual study. So it's not just reading. She actually did a study on each book of the Bible. And just this week, she finished it. And, she's 19, and we're having incredible conversations with them. But that's also been conversations you and I have had, and they've seen us in the Word. We ourselves are living that out. We are preaching the gospel. When things happen to us, it's how we're reacting and or not even reacting, we're responding to it instead of reacting, and we're modeling that for them. How we treat each other, how we treat others. And those words and actions are us preaching the gospel to them.
Absolutely.
And is creating a generational effect.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of this goes back to, I think being Christ-like to your spouse. If you don't know what to say or what, I mean, obviously there's a lot of resources that can help you, but I'm just saying on a fundamental, like, basic level of being Christ-like to your spouse and saying those words of speaking forgiveness to your spouse, being slow to anger, speaking life, speaking truth into your spouse, I think is preaching that.
Yeah. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I might have missed one. Goodness.
Right.
You model those.
I mean, but that speaks so much. And the words we speak about our spouse, I've said this hundreds of times on this podcast, but our words are so important. Mm-hmm. And those words that we speak to others about our spouse. Yeah. Yeah. And being willing to serve your spouse and being willing to forgive. And, obviously we understand there's big things that happen. We get that. But showing that is preaching a very loud gospel.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate what you said there with how you speak to me or about me in front of others or to others,
Yeah.
And I think also, we talked about this last week to Tony, but same as like, oh, I was just joking. Like those things are hurtful. And probably not really in line with the gospel. Like those are little jabs,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's as simple as like, oh man, like like your wife really messed up. Why didn't, like, what? You didn't get mad? It's like, no, man, Christ forgave me. Like, like Christ has forgiven me for all of the stuff that I've done. Yeah. Like, how can I not be Christ-like? I mean, that's such a critical piece of it. Yeah. And it speaks a loud gospel.
I think too, I had this here that when you're preaching the gospel, when you're demonstrating the gospel and preaching it, it's also convicting, because when you know it, the more that you know the gospel and you're living that out, the word is in your heart and you're living that out, you are convicted quicker. So there was a moment this weekend and I said something, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I am so sorry. Like the moment it came out, I was like, Ryan, that's not like, I am sorry. I did not mean it like that. And what's of him and what's not. It becomes very, very apparent the more that you are living out and preaching the gospel and in the gospel. When you're acting a certain way to your spouse, you're convicted a little quicker. And I think that you're also quicker to apologize and make it right, because it just like weighs on you. And God is just like, nope, Michelle, like I'm just going to weigh this heavy on you. Yeah. And that's God in us. That's the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely. Michelle, just as we wrap things up, like our marriages truly depend on us walking with Jesus. And I think these three points really capture what that looks like. We need to make room for him in our lives. We need to make room for our spouses. We need to spend time. We need to tend that relationship. Our lives need to demonstrate our relationship with Jesus. And the fruits should be evident. People should be able to see that. And then every word and action that we speak should be a reflection of that gospel. You're not going to be, very few of us are up on a stage, up on a platform, preaching in the traditional sense. But I can tell you, everyone is watching. Everyone is watching and listening to the words that you speak and how you act. And that tells I think it tells a very loud story.
Yeah.
And so as we talk about preaching the gospel, that's so critical. And Michelle, you hit it on the head with as we're talking about generational things, like our kids are watching and listening to how we interact.
Yeah.
You're painting a picture of marriage, you're painting a picture of relationship, how you treat one another.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching. And I think as you go out into your jobs, as you go out into the world, so to speak, it's the same way.
Yeah. And your kids, if you do have kids, or you might have kids someday, they're going to look for a future spouse that is like what you're modeling. Like you are literally showing them what is acceptable and not in a relationship. So having God as the foundation is just so important, so that they then learn, like, nope, I'm not going to compromise. Like, that's how I want to build my relationship. And Ryan, to what you said too about just living it out, that, are you different on Friday night than you are Saturday than you are Sunday morning at church? I never want someone to be like, oh, they're a Christian. Like, I don't think that's happened, but like,
sure.
I want when people meet me and they find out like, oh, you host a podcast. Oh, you go to Celebrate.church. Oh yeah, that checks out. Like, that makes sense. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, that explains so much. Like, that's why you're so, that's why you're so kind to your husband. That's why you're, an intentional parent. That's why you're, good person, living generously, all these things, serving others, bringing, I talked about our neighborhood casserole ministry, which we were walking.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh. We were walking. I have a new smartwatch, so I've been trying to get steps in more. So I've been dragging Ryan on all these walks, and you go on a lot of walks. We used to go on walks anyways, but now it's like even more so. And I just, like, the Holy Spirit sometimes just gets a hold of me, and I just find myself talking to strangers, and I can't stop it. We went on one walk, and I think I had 2 or 3 conversations.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
We went on, we turned to one corner, and there were people out doing yard work. And in the winter when we walk, I always think, oh, their house looks so nice. It's so well kept. It's landscaped. I think he owns a landscaping company. They always have Christmas lights up. And not only do they have lights up, they put a little rug over the electrical cables on the sidewalk, which is highly appreciated as a winter walker, safety first.
Yeah.
They decorate for all the holidays, and we've never seen them.
Right.
So we were walking by, and it was the dad and the mom and the kid out there. And I was like, oh, and all of a sudden I'm just speaking, and I'm like, hey, they're doing yard work. I'm like, hey, your house always looks so nice at Christmas. You guys do such a great job. We walk this route every night, and we always say, wow, their house looks so nice. And, the husband was like, oh, thank you so much. And the wife was like, thank you. And then we, turned the corner and, power walked away. And I hope that meant, that like meant something, just drops in their bucket. And then we get to our block, and our neighbor is outside, and she had some health issues earlier this year, was in the hospital. They had to like transport her multiple states to get her back home. And I brought her a casserole or hot dish, depending on where you're from, whatever you call it. I brought her a dish of food and a card, and she really appreciated it. And then she wrote me a thank you card. It was really nice. Yeah. We hardly ever talk to them.
Yeah.
But then on the way home from this walk, she was like outside she was doing yard work. And I was like, hey, so-and-so. I'm like, you're looking good. And she was like, I'm feeling good. I have 1 week left of medicine. I was like, oh my gosh, so great to see you doing so good. Thank you for your thank you card. And she was like, well, thank you for being so sweet. And I was like, hey, we're neighbors. And, it's just like, it's that type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just oozing out of us, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. Michelle, you are amazing at that.
Well,
and it was so great. And you brought so much joy to everybody that you encountered, which was just awesome. But that's exactly what we're talking about. And I think your marriage, your relationship can be all of that. And your relationship can say so much as you're out in the world, just interacting with people.
Radiating off of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Great show.
Yeah,
thanks for the compliment. We are still out of mystery questions, but I want to tell you this. So 2 shows ago, we were with Tony Boer, and I just did an impromptu mystery question.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Tony, we're going to the CONCACAF Gold Cup in Minneapolis.
Soccer.
It's soccer.
Yeah.
I just assumed people knew that. Sorry.
Yeah. People are like, what's CONCACAF?
What's CONCACAF Gold Cup? Is that hockey? No, it's soccer. Anyways, I asked him, I said, hey, who are the teams going to be? And you guys, the quarterfinal lineup is solidified as of last night. And I'm proud to tell you that Ryan and Tony picked 5. You had 5 picks.
Yeah, we had 5 picks. I don't think we got all 8, but
you didn't list 8. You had 5
yeah, we
that
had 5.
Listed.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And all 5 of your picks made the top 8.
Yeah.
So good job, Ryan and Tony.
All right. Yeah.
And also,
well done.
I feel like we got a steal of a deal because this is Ryan's Father's Day gift. I bought these tickets back in, I don't know, April or May, before I even knew what teams are playing. And this weekend, you guys, we get to go see the United States national team.
Team USA.
Team USA.
Yep.
Playing some football.
Yep. Pretty excited.
So that's exciting.
Very excited.
And we get to see Canada play too, eh?
Yeah.
And we need to talk to Lucas and Pastor Noah about borrowing some Maple Leaf gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Worth a shot.
Hey, I mean, we can be Canada fans the first game and then USA fans the second game.
I'm going to wear a couple of shirts and we'll just change our layers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was the mystery question update. Not really marriage related, but we're not talking about marriage, talking about soccer, which is great.
But it is marriage because it was a gift to me on Father's Day.
And
which is amazing.
We have great memories playing soccer together. And that was a marriage booster.
Marriage boost.
You guys, thank you for joining us today on the Celebrate Marriagecast. We so appreciate you listening to us. You make this all worthwhile, and your stories make it even more worthwhile. If we can hear the impact from real live listeners like you, that would mean so much. Would you leave us a review and let us know the impact? That would just be so cool. So we hope that you are having a great summer. We want you to know that we are here for you. We have resources at Celebrate.church/marriage. You can contact the church that way if you're in need of additional help and support. We have an amazing family and marriage pastor, Pastor Chris Fickle. And we have service time, so you can watch our weekend services at Celebrate.church. We hope you have a great rest of the week, and thanks for joining us today.
Have a great week.